Hello everyone, it's ZBClass here, and today I'm actually going to be talking about what makes games nostalgic, what makes old games very nostalgic. And I'm coming in with a couple key points here. The main one is the small details they put into the games. Like, for example, there's this game called NBA Street. I don't know if that's well known anymore. It came out in like the early 2000s. That where when you finish a game and you dunk the basketball, it literally broke the rim, and then it just had busted rim in the background, and like it was on fire and all that. That may seem like the most useless fact you guys have ever heard, but to me, anytime I think of that game, that is one of the first things that come up. And Force Unleashed is another example. Anytime I think of that game, I think about the overpowered force pushes and like you running around and your lightsaber making holes in the wall. Fallen Order did the same thing, but the fact that Force Unleashed pioneered it, I think it was the first game to do that, I'm not 100% sure, it doesn't feel as nostalgic because you think, oh, it's already been done before. That's another thing with nostalgia as well, is that if a game did it first, it automatically gets those nostalgic points as well. I am not 100% correct for saying nostalgia, like why old games have nostalgia, because then in 10 years, people are going to say that the younger generation is going to say the same thing. They're going to say, oh, there's not going to be any games like 2020 where they pioneered stuff. But I think it really hits home like the most right now in like the 2000s games for me personally, because that's when a lot of people, a lot of companies and development teams had the most to prove, because they were handed the PS2, graphics never seen before, and had to make something creative because there's nothing to base it off of. Because what other game can they base it off of? A PS1 game? It's not the same. They have a lot more memory to work with, so they have to create something new. But they still didn't have too much memory though, so they couldn't like make a giant game that lasts for like 50 hours. No, they would have to make a 5-hour game that was hard as hell, so it had to last that long. So during that time, it was where like a lot of new development studios had to make their mark on the gaming scene. So what they did is they put in small little details and small little things to make their games stand out. Whether it's cutting off limbs of zombies, whether it's blood splatter everywhere, ragdoll physics, all these things, they needed it because they didn't have a choice but to have it. Because, oh look, another generic game, studio fails. Because studios weren't like nowadays. It wasn't like, hey, I can't think of a studio right now. I am EA. Oh, my game failed. Okay, I can just make another one. Like, no, you have to pull out all you can to do your best, even the AAA titles. So games like, I don't know, they even extend it to 360 to a certain extent, because Force Unleashed is a good example of that. You can literally run by a wall and your lightsaber will make a hole into the wall. You can cut droids in half. You can throw people like hundreds of feet, and then they'll show a little animation of them falling. They put those small details that made the game. When I look at Fallen Order, a game I really like, it's one of my favorite games of all time, it doesn't have those small things. Yes, you can leave holes in the wall. Yes, you can cut through droids and stuff. But again, it didn't pioneer it, so you're not going to think of that as nostalgically. And then they didn't have those, funny moments like a dude ragdolling. So like, that's the other thing about nostalgia games as well, is they're also funny unintentionally and have their funny glitches and funny moments. But nowadays, if they were to have funny glitches and funny moments, that wouldn't be excusable because they have the technology to prevent that easily. With older games, it was way harder to avoid things like that because, again, it was new software, new stuff. There was more than like 64 bits on screen. So there's a lot happening. And basically, I'm gonna sum it up. Basically, what made old games more nostalgic than these current games? They had to be more creative, whether it was with game modes, whether it was with small mechanics, all these things. They had to be more creative because they didn't have a choice as well. Because new companies, a lot of new companies, a new system, all this, a new system with a lot more memory and better graphics. And also another reason is they came first. They were the first. They were some of the first in the 3D era, not directly 64, but like the cleaner, more cleaned up 3D era. So they had a lot to prove, and that ended up making more nostalgic games and more creative games, and in my personal opinion, better games. But to be fair to new games, on average, most new games are better than old games. It's just they're more plain than they used to be. But that is it. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I will catch you guys in the next one. And if you want to see more of me, check me out at ZBClass on Twitch. Just hit 70 followers, and I am on the road to 100. So I guess join the army, I guess. Or I don't know what the name for them are. I don't know what you guys are called yet. All right. Peace. Catch you guys in the next one.